Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Know-How is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging and informative tutorials streamed to your Roku, computer, or mobile device. For a free 7-day trial and 30% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/knowhow and use the code KNOWHOW30. On this episode of Know-How, Universal Translators, the Kepler satellite. What can we do down here to have the same kind of tech? Oh, and did you buy a Syma over Christmas? Because if you did, we're going to show you how to fix it. Welcome to Know-How. It's the TWiT show where we build, bend, break, and upgrade. I'm Father Robert Ballecer.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And welcome to 2015.
It feels like 2015,
It does, right?
Right? It's just got a different smell to it or something.
You know, I feel the clar. The clar is right here, man.
The car?
The clar.
The clar.
It's a new word for 2015.
Is that that's going to be the new hot word?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're starting it here on Know-How.
I just made a trend.
Already off to a good start this year.
Oh, well, folks, we want to thank you for joining us for this brand new year of Know-How. We had a fun time last year. That was, I mean,
it was.
You came onto the show. You've kind of owned it now. This has been your show for almost a year.
Yeah.
And we've had just a time building stuff.
Oh, yeah. We've had a lot of fun. We've learned a lot. We've crammed a lot of knowledge into certain holes and stuff. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. Still not on the intro yet, though.
It's kind of strange that you're still not on the cover art. But, okay, maybe we can fix that.
I'm all right with that.
No. I feel so lonely there. I'm like, wait a minute. I have a co-host.
I think the problem is I don't transfer to cartoon very well. So
yes,
we've been waiting.
People actually, someone sent me a version of that we could use for cover art.
Yeah.
But you look like one of the people from the AHA video.
I think Alex might be doing some TriCaster magic. So I'll hold still while you the AHA.
Take on me.
The pencil sketch
yeah,
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like that would be okay. I would actually be down with that.
On me. Haha. Welcome to KN.
Yeah. This is Know-How, where we know how to fix things to make them broken.
No. Oh. There we go. Father Robert Ballecer.
Well, hey, Brian, you want to do a show? Let's do a
show.
We're
goofy. We're a little loopy.
This
obviously isn't 2015.
It's not 2014.
We're pre-recording this.
Yeah, right now I'm actually at CES, and you're here.
That time of year again.
It's that time of year. Oh, but speaking of that time of year, at the end of 2014, there was a very cool announcement about a new technology that Microsoft had just released into the wild. Did you hear about that?
Oh, I did. This was crazy. This was like, okay. It feels like the future now.
It does feel like the future. Skype Translator. So if you ever watch Star Trek or any sci-fi, really, there's always that piece of tech, the guffin, that allows different cultures, aliens, to talk to one another, right?
Yeah. It just works.
It just works. It just works. Well, Skype hasn't figured out a way to inject microbes into your body that's like from Hitchhiker's Guide or from Farscape or any piece of technology that does instant translation. But they have done something to Skype itself. Skype Translator essentially is a bot. So it uses the most popular video/audio communications tool on the planet. And it places a bot between two participants that will do in real time translation between two languages. Right now it's English and Spanish, but here's the thing. I saw a demo of this technology, and it was amazing. I mean, it was spot on. The translation was really good. It was
cool.
English to Spanish. The cool thing is we actually had Spanish as first speaker reporters in the crowd, and they applauded because the translations were that bang on.
Because, there's Google Translate has been around for a long time, and it's fun to put text into it, see what comes out, and then revert
go back the other way, right?
And it's like, yeah, that is not what I was trying to say.
And that's actually a great point, because a lot of the technology that we think is universal translator type material. It's actually just simple search and replace. You search for something in one language and you replace it with the word from the other language, which we know
it doesn't work.
Is hilarious sometimes. It's horrible.
Very.
But with Skype Translator, they're using something that Microsoft Research has been working on for a long time, and it's called deep neural network. And the whole idea is that rather than doing a search and replace, it's actually looking for patterns. Yeah, so what it does is it gives you context, which is always the problem with translation software. If it doesn't have a context, it replaces it with a word that makes absolutely no sense because it doesn't understand what you're actually trying to say.
That kind of, my mind is melting a little bit because I'm trying to think, how do you code a machine to know context in a
And that's what they've been working on. That deep neural network is a concept that was introduced quite a bit ago, but they haven't really had the hardware, the horsepower to do it. Now, here's the cool thing about deep neural networks. They learn, they grow.
They're getting smarter.
They're getting smarter.
Faster, stronger.
You know, maybe we should stop this, actually.
Skynet.
It's Skynet. Ugh.
But so they have the hardware now and stuff, and it's on the fly.
It's on the fly. It's almost instantaneous. I mean, it has to go into the bot, and then the bot has to translate it.
Right.
So right now, you really want one party speaking, and then the other party to speak, so that you can go through the bot. You don't have any crosstalk and stuff.
Right.
But in time, they'll fix even that. It's limited to English and Spanish at the moment, but they're working on Mandarin, they're working on Cantonese, Polish, Russian, some of the major languages. So pretty soon, you should be able to have a conversation with anybody, anywhere in the world at any time, and be able to speak to them in their language.
That is super cool.
Now, here's the cool part. If you want to try it, there's actually a link. Alex, if you go ahead and jump over that link that I dropped into the notes, where you can sign up for the preview. Do it right now, because it may take some time for you to get approved for the program. You're gonna need Windows 8 or 8.1, so go ahead and upgrade. There's versions coming for all other platforms very soon. But register and at least give it a try, because I tell you, it does feel like the future.
That is, I could see having some fun with that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Although, I'm wondering, when we do encounter an alien race, is it gonna just learn automatically?
No, when we do encounter an alien race, we're gonna like drop connection. It's like, whoa, can you unplug your USB mic and put it back in?
Are you on Wi-Fi or are you on Ethernet right now? Do you think they understand?
And we just lost a sponsor. Speaking of sponsor, let's go ahead and take a moment to thank the sponsor for the first episode of Know How in 2015. IT Pro TV is a video network dedicated exclusively to the world of information technology. Whether you're looking to jumpstart a career in IT or you're already working in the field, IT Pro TV supplements traditional learning methods in a fun and engaging way to maximize your learning and prepare you for certification. IT Pro TV offers hundreds of hours of content, with 30 hours being added each week. Their library includes video courses on Apple, Microsoft, Cisco, and more, including A+, CCNA, Security+, MCSC, CISSP, and Linux+. Courses cover topics like network security, Linux, Windows, OS X support for desktop servers, and more. But IT doesn't have to be boring. IT Pro TV hosts tell engaging stories and share personal experiences, which increases your retention. Shows are streamed live and available on demand worldwide to your Roku computer or mobile device. You can interact with hosts during the show and topic-specific web-based Q&As. If this looks and sounds familiar to you, it's because the guys behind IT Pro TV are huge fans of TWiT. They have over 10 years of experience in IT learning and were inspired by Leo. They use the same studio setup and equipment that we do. Even if you're already studying with a book or enrolled in a certification or technical degree program, this is a fantastic supplement to learn at your own pace and track your progress. Measure Up practice exams are included with your subscription, and you're also going to get virtual machine sandbox lab environments for hands-on practice and learning with HTML5 support for any OS. You get this all for one low monthly price, which includes daily updates and new features monthly. It's comparable to the cost of a study guide and much cheaper than going to an IT boot camp. So here's what we want you to do. We want you to check out itpro.tv/knowhow to upgrade your brain with the most popular IT certifications recognized by employers. You're going to get a free 7-day trial when you sign up using our offer code, which will allow you to check out their courses, live stream, and more.
Subscriptions are normally $57 per month or $570 for the entire year, but we have a special offer because they're huge fans of TWiT. If you sign up now and use the code KNOWHOW30, you'll receive 30% off your subscription for the lifetime of your account. That's less than $40 per month or $3.99 for the entire year. And once you reach your 13th month, they will reduce your subscription rate even further, bringing your cost down to $24.95 per month or $249 for the entire year. That's itpro.tv/knowhow and use the code KNOWHOW30 to try it free for 7 days and save 30%. And we thank IT Pro TV for their support of Know-How.
Hey, Brian. Have you heard of Kepler?
Kepler.
Kepler.
Yeah. The space telescope.
Yeah,
right?
$600 million spacecraft. Kind of like Hubble. Next version, next gen,
right?
Which is designed specifically to spot exoplanets, those planets way the heck out there.
Right. I mean, this was the new one. Hubble had been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It was still producing amazing photos for a really long time, but now Kepler's the new improved version, right?
And if you actually know the history of the space program, you'll understand that that's one of the reasons why they deorbited the Hubble. Because it takes money to continue running a program, and they wanted to take that money and use it for Kepler.
Right.
And Kepler has been the most prolific exoplanet spotting spacecraft in history. It's been fantastic because it's been specifically designed to do it. It has a 1.4 meter mirror that drives light down into a 95 megapixel sensor that can actually tell the difference in brightness for pixels that are adjacent to each other down to 10 parts per million. I mean, it's ridiculous sensitivity.
But we have some bad news about it, right?
There was some bad news. The bad news actually came in 2013. In order to keep it pointed in the right direction, they had to use what they call reaction wheels, which are essentially gyros. Did you ever have like a gyroscope when you were a kid?
Oh, where you tie the string around it and you pull it, and then the motion will just keep it in.
Exactly, and that's Newtonian physics. The whole idea of motion tends to want to stay in motion, and if you've got something spinning, it's not going to want to turn. Right. Well, same idea, except scale that up a bit to $200,000 per gyroscope.
And flying around in space.
And flying around in space, right. So this Kepler had 4 of these things, and what it could do is when you either accelerated or decelerated one of those reaction wheels, it would turn the craft. It's just the same way that we do quadcopters, right? It's torque. It would just rotate along one of the axes.
Right.
It needed 3 of those to maintain operation. It lost the second one in 2013, and the Kepler went into safe mode because it can't keep I mean, imagine how hard it is for you to keep a camcorder pointed when you've got it zoomed in. Now zoom it in 185 million light years.
Yeah, and I've gone out, way out into the not the forest, but into the country where there wasn't a lot of light pollution, and tried to use my DSLR to take pictures of the stars. And even just the motion of pushing the shutter would be enough to blur the image.
Right. So you can imagine what's going to happen when it's trying to detect a planet like at the edge of its known range. And for a while there, they thought they might lose the Kepler, but then they figured out an ingenious solution. So they still had 2 gyroscopes, 2 reaction wheels. And what they were able to figure out is that they could use the pressure of the sunlight on the solar panels of the spacecraft to like replace the 3rd reaction wheel. And it wasn't permanent, but for just long enough, it would keep the spacecraft stable enough to go ahead and take its pictures.
That is amazing.
It is pretty amazing. I geek out over science.
There can't be a lot of force.
It's not a lot of force, but you don't need a lot because remember, you're falling through space.
Right.
So all you need is just enough to station keep. And that's why the reaction wheels would work. They didn't need propellant. They could just, increase or decrease acceleration a little bit on those wheels, and you're good to go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, is there a plan to fix it? Or
no.
Oh.
No.
That kind of sucks.
No, we'll probably just get another one. It's really expensive. But what I thought, in celebration of NASA's momentous occasion, because they actually used this system with the solar panel balancing to spot a planet that was 185 million light years away. That's 20,000 miles in diameter and about 12 times more massive than Earth.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I mean,
yeah,
I can't do that, but what I can do is offer a stabilization platform that works here on Earth.
Just as impressive.
Just as impressive,
I think so.
Yeah. You know, you were talking about trying to take stable images with your DSLR, right?
Yes, yes.
And of course, the problem is just your body shakes, you shake, everything shakes.
Any little bit of motion, was transferred into the sensor.
Right. And there are all sorts of products that attempt to stabilize your cameras.
Yes.
A lot of them actually have built-in digital stabilization. But like this
looks like full manual.
This is full manual. It's not great. It's really not all that great. This is like it's a Steadicam mount, so you can use it to mount a GoPro. Go ahead and go to the close-up. And what you have is you basically have a camera on a stick, but you can detach the bottom of the stick so that if you hold it really steady, the camera, oh, that's not real steady. The camera, theoretically, as you move, won't bounce around so much. And as you can see,
I think you need some more solar rays to give that some resistance.
I'm not, okay, here's the problem with a lot of these systems. They're really hard to use unless you're very careful, and I'm not very careful.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have better results just holding the GoPro.
Yeah. So I thought maybe we could show to our crew in 2015 a little something that we've picked up during our quadcopter days, because those are over. We don't talk about quadcopters anymore.
Quad what?
Quad, exactly, right? Yeah. But a piece of technology that you don't need to use a quadcopter for to maybe get those super steady images.
Yeah, and that's something I've been wanting to play with for a long time.
Yeah. This is a gimbal.
Yeah.
So this was designed to hang on the bottom of a quadcopter, but you could use this on anything. In fact, I have seen people attach these to like skateboards.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
And all it is, if you go ahead and go to the close-up, this is 2 pieces of PCB that are sandwiched between these little rubber balls, and so that isolates it from vibration. Right? But the important part are the electronics on the inside. This is essentially a flight controller. So just like the flight controller on a quadcopter balances out the thrust to keep your craft level, this is looking at the acceleration in 3 axes, and then it will try to provide counter force through the gimbal motors in order to keep a steady image.
How much is one of these?
So this one's a little on the less expensive side. You can find something like this for between $50 and $100, depending on how advanced you want it.
Okay.
I got a nice one that also allows me to hook up my servo leads for it. So in addition to stabilizing for me, it will also allow me to use like an extra channel so I can point it down and up.
Okay. That's cool, because I've been looking at one on Amazon, and it's a stick that has the gyro on the end of it, and you put the GoPro on it, you do that. But if I could just get one of those, and I could...
That would actually work. So this has mounting points. So you could put this on a stick and raise way above the crowd.
And hold it out.
And it would try to maintain its position. Now let's show the good folks at home how this actually works.
So you just use... You don't have to use both connectors, it's just the one.
Right, so go ahead and hook up the bounce connector. It's gonna calibrate a little bit, but once we get this powered on, and once the controller is powered on, and right now it's checking its level to make sure that it's in the right position. You're gonna see there we go. The brushless motors have now moved the camera into what it thinks is a stable configuration. So now if I move the camera,
that is cool.
The gimbal actually tries to keep, that shaking is actually coming from me. And so this would actually give you a really steady picture. There are limits, of course, because like if I run into the top of the gimbal,
it's range of motion.
There's a range of motion here. There are more advanced gimbals that will allow you to stick it at the front of a craft and get more range of motion. This one obviously is designed to be slung under the bottom of a craft. But here's the cool thing. This is tech for a quadcopter, but we don't have to use it for a quadcopter. I mean, look how smooth that transition is.
That is cool. Yeah, like you said, you could totally put that on a skateboard or whatever kind of mounting hardware you could come up with it just to hold it steady like that. That is neat.
Yeah, and it doesn't use much battery at all. In fact, this 1,000 milliamp hour battery will probably run this thing for like 2 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, and of course, depending on how much motion you have. Now, if people are wondering, oh, that's not actually doing anything, let's go ahead and disconnect the power. And let me show you what it looks like when it's not powered. So without power, it does that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to use this on a quadcopter, which I really want to now badly, that would make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it really does. Now, here's the cool thing. Technology like this, 5 years ago, would have cost you up in the $1,500 to $3,000 range.
Easily.
Easily. But with the advent of, and I'm going to say it, I thank Apple for this. With the iPhone and then the continuing downward pressure for the price of accelerometers and magnetometers.
Yeah.
It's really made technology like this crazy inexpensive. In fact, the most expensive part there is just the aluminum mount. The controller itself is like $10.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's because of all the mobile devices that use the accelerometer and stuff. That's neat.
Right.
Thank you.
What we're going to do is we are actually going to use this. We will show you how to use something like this. We're going to put it into a camera rig to show you the difference between trying to use like a steady rig or just a rig on a stick and one of these gimbals, because trust me, you're going to want to get one. Even if you don't fly a quadcopter, this is cool. This is something you're going to want to
I don't know what happened to yours anyway. It was just here a second ago. That's weird.
White Spy, can I get another gimbal? That'd be awesome. That'd be great. Okay. Now, folks, we've got a little treat for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Because both of us, we actually only started flying quads like 2-3 months ago, really.
A couple months ago, and definitely was a rough start for me.
For both of us. It really was. I mean, that little orange Syma, that took a beating.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It took a beating, kept on ticking up until a certain point. Like, there's only so much trauma you can give a device like that.
It took accidental beatings for like the first month of its life.
Yes. Yeah.
And remember, you learn by crashing, and we learned a lot.
Yes, we did.
And then it took intentional beatings after that,
because we were doing battles.
Yeah.
That is the progression of the training quads. But I thought it would be a good idea to list some of the essential mods that you want to do if you do happen to buy one of those Symas for Christmas or something like that. Because through our extensive testing, we found out a couple of weaknesses and a couple of things that you can prevent. So you know what? Here's a little video I did running through those. So maybe over the holiday season you got yourself a Syma X5. The first thing you're going to want to do is take it apart. I know, that sounds like kind of counterintuitive, but one of the things we notice that happens the most with these little guys is the LED panels fall off. So you're going to want to grab some hot glue or maybe some crazy glue like I used here and just kind of weld the edges of the little LED panels on the sides. Because after a couple of crashes, these were the first things that popped off. So put a dab on each side of the inside of the panel, and then just for good measure, put a little bit on the outside on the edges too, just to make sure that these little guys don't fall off. Then, if you want to make your Syma a little bit more special, you can paint it like I did, and I just used some neon bright colors. I went with green, orange, and blue, and it worked pretty well because it helped me look at the propellers and which direction I was flying. And eventually you might have to replace a motor on your Syma, which is actually not too bad to do. The hardest part is waiting the 2 weeks for the motor to come in, but you'll need to bust out your soldering iron once you've got your new motors in and disconnect the old motor, take off the top. And Padre pointed out there's an easier way to do this, and that's to desolder the wires from the board. But as I had not thought of this before our recording, I cut the wires, stripped them, used some heat shrink, and reattached the new motor that way. Now, the motors do rotate counterclockwise or clockwise, but you'll want to match up the color code, the color of the wire with the wire. So if you have a black and white wire, you'll want to make sure the white wire is connected to the white wire and the black is connected to the black. Pretty straightforward. Once you've soldered your new motor to the board, you can reassemble your Syma and test it out. And just to make sure we did everything correct, we'll do a quick test flight, and our Syma is as good as new with the brand new motor. Pretty sweet. The next big mod that you'll want to do for your Syma is on the controller itself. The range is about, I'd say 100 feet with a stock Syma, but with this little mod, you'll be able to get at least 3 times that. Here's the internal little antenna that comes with the Syma. Now, the Syma works on a 2.4 gigahertz. So if you have some Wi-Fi antenna router antennas laying around, that's what I did to solder to the board. And on most antennas, there'll be a shielding that you'll need to peel back connected to a smaller inner wire. Now, this does take some delicate soldering work, so you'll want to desolder the power cables from the back of the controller so you can get easier access to the board. And then pull the shielding back and solder that to the grounding pad next to the antenna, and then solder the core antenna cable to the board. Make sure to give yourself enough length, but not too much length on the antenna. And then I was able to find a washer and nut that fit into a small crevice at the top of the controller and fit the antenna that way. So be very careful when reassembling your board and make sure that the shielding is attached to the ground and the antenna is soldered to where the previous antenna was. After that, put the controller back together, solder the battery cables back to the back part of the case, and then you should be able to test it out. Now, keeping our fingers crossed, I test out the new antenna with the Syma, and it works. It's just as responsive as before at close range, but the biggest difference is I can fly it at a point that I can't see it anymore. So that's far enough for me, and that definitely extended the range of the Syma.
I love that, because those are the two things that people complain about the most.
Right.
The fact that the motors can die. I mean, motors are moving parts.
They can, and you know when they're starting to fade when, well, obviously when you've crashed it a few times, but when you try and spin it up.
Well, see, it's kind of moving.
It wants to.
Maybe a little bit, kind of.
That's how you know when one of the motors is about to go, is that you have to kind of flick the propeller to make it live again.
That's not going to work anymore.
Fortunately, I mean, the biggest pain is having to wait for the motors to come in. Because they're shipping in from China. But it's not too difficult to replace, and the wires are very thin. And if you have like very limited soldering skills like I do, you can get by. And
I will say one thing. If you've got any kind of soldering skill, I would suggest that you solder to the board, because you soldered between the wires.
I did, yeah.
Those are super thin.
Really a pain in the butt.
They're pain in the butt. If you have a fine tip soldering iron, I would go ahead and just desolder from the pad, the controller
and do
pad,
it to the board.
And do it to the board.
If I could do it over again, Padre, I would.
Yeah. But then the other thing is range.
Yes.
And we've got some great video of everyone here. Zach, you, me, Patrick Delahanty, Tony, going beyond the range. And it's it's ridiculous, because you have that little stubby antenna.
The antenna that it comes with is it doesn't even go to the end of this. It stops right at the top.
There's nothing in there.
So yeah, by adding one of the Wi-Fi antennas, a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi antenna, I mean, it goes far enough that I can't see it anymore.
Exactly, and that's really all you care about, because this is not an FPV craft. You're not going to be flying this beyond the visual range. Yeah. So as long as it gets you to the point where you can bring it back at any given time that you see it, it's a perfect mod.
Yeah, because we were flying it out in the transit yard, and it would get about 60, 100 yards away, and it's like, is the wind taking it? No, it's just going away.
Right. And unfortunately, both of these had that unfortunate thing where, as it went out of range, sometimes it didn't stop. It would just keep going, and you're like running after it, like, come back!
Because it's something like when you have it at full throttle and it goes out of range, it just stays at full throttle and keeps
for a couple of, and it's only a second or two before it drops out of the air, but that second or two feels like a year.
Oh man, yeah, slow motion. Everything happens in slow motion.
Disaster.
So yeah, those are some essential mods, and I think a few people had lost a lot of the LED little panels on the bottom. So
glue those in.
Yeah, mine haven't popped out yet.
These have never popped out.
There's a very slight difference between this and the one that you get at Fry's.
I mean, when we recommended that you buy the Syma, because we thought it's exactly the same.
It's easier to get.
It's easier, so much easier to get, because you can get this on Amazon. You got to go to Fry's to get this thing, but there is a difference. Even though the parts look all the same except for the color, the build quality on the Syma is a little bit better. I don't know what to say. On the Quad Force, on the
Quad Force.
The motors are more durable. Yeah. The shell is a bit more durable, and those lights never pop out.
Yeah,
so
but
go figure.
Hey, it gave me something to mod on mine though,
and we have like 10 of these things, so we've got a large sample size. So this is not just we had a bad copy. It was 10 of these versus one of these.
I learned from everyone else's mistakes and made mine better.
Patrick Delahanty. All right, now we do actually have some feedback. We wanted to kick off the year right. some people have heard about an upgrade program that we're doing here at the TWiT Brick House. We've been looking at updating our edit facilities. Now, our old edit facilities were working just fine, but as we've been adding more and more shows, we've needed to up our game. So we've got a question here from Brendan Hauser, who wanted to know, Leo said, TWiT got new computers to run Adobe Premiere. What kind of computers are they? Thanks. There was a little bit of discussion on the Google Plus group about what we did and what we didn't do. Some people were saying, well, you got Mac Pros, right? No. No, because for the price of 2 Mac Pros, we get like 5 Windows PCs.
Right, and we wanted to play games.
But this is what we got. Now, you know, if only, Brian, if only we had an expert. Alex.
Alex. Yeah, he's the one that kind of, him and Russell put all these together. Yeah.
Hey, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about these boxes?
Oh, those boxes? It was a subtle, nice subtle move in there, Brian. It's good, subtle, quiet move.
I tried. You're flipping the cameras wrong.
Yeah, right. It wasn't in Padre's shot at all.
So what's in here?
Well, okay, so this is a Dell Precision T3610. So it's a workstation class, Dell PC, and it has a Xeon E5 1650, 6-core with hyperthreading, 3.5 gigahertz.
Now, Alex, there's going to be people who are asking, why go with a Xeon instead of an i7?
Actually, I don't know that. I know it's you can only use ECC RAM with Xeons, I believe. But I don't know. I don't think we have ECC RAM.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Yes, we do. We do have ECC RAM. So there you go. But I think it was more just that's what the Precisions came with for our purposes.
And they actually do render faster. They are quicker.
And just full disclosure, I wasn't the one who actually picked the hardware. I was just involved with the decision making, not the actual guy picking the parts and doing all that stuff. That was Russell. So I'm not entirely sure why certain things were done, but I can read the specs.
Okay.
So they each have 32 gigabytes of RAM, ECC RAM, as we just said.
Right.
512 gigabyte SSDs, just for the system drive.
Yes.
And
GeForce.
Oh, yeah, they got it right. That was an add-on that we had. 3 gigabyte GeForce.
But why did
GTX
you only buy 3 of those?
GeForce 780.
Yeah, that's weird. Why would you only buy 3?
I went downstairs in the cage and there's only.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They must have just, maybe they never came in.
They're probably somewhere with Padre's gimbal.
I think they just not all of them came in.
Now, you've also got, one of the things I love about this is because we want to be able to edit directly from the, we're not using a SAN anymore.
Right. So it's in addition to just replacing all the computers, is we're completely upending the whole infrastructure of the edit infrastructure, I guess. So the SAN is what we've traditionally had. So we're completely replacing that with a Windows server, file server, and they're all connected together over a 10 gig Ethernet network rather than the 4 gig fiber that we had with the SAN.
It's redonkulously fast.
I'm happy for that.
And so because of that decision, and also that how we're sharing the stuff is we're using SMB, and Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012 introduced SMB 3.0, which is apparently much better than the old SMB or something like that. And this is also what was decided by Russell, and this is what we're doing. So now we're working around this. So we have a Windows Server with SMB shares, and that was probably the main decision why we went with Windows machines instead of Macs, is because Macs traditionally don't play well with SMB, and also getting a 10 gig Ethernet into a Mac Pro involves a $1,000 Thunderbolt box thing. So
well, I feel as far as
it's the Mac Pro in addition to that.
On the editing side, we've traditionally done all our shows with Final Cut 7, and then Final Cut 10 came out, and it really didn't work for how we do our stuff here.
So this project originally started as just migrating to Premiere on the existing systems, and that was going to be it. And then that would have allowed us to go cross-platform down the road, but we would start with the existing systems. Then about halfway through, it was decided that we're going to change the whole server infrastructure and go all new hardware. So because of that, now that kind of rebooted the project, which is why it's one reason it's taking so long. But that also led us to all these decisions.
Yeah. Right.
Don't forget to show them this.
Yes. With all the edit systems, all the editors are getting these lovely keyboards with your Premiere shortcuts on them. So if they have any questions or don't know what button does what, or they're looking for a certain tool, you can just look right at your keyboard, and it's got that handy little light on it. So when you're in your edit bay with the lights dimmed, you have this little light to light up your control surface.
And we actually had Jeffrey color on all those keys.
That's right. Those are hand painted.
Those are hand painted.
It turned out that was cheaper than just buying the keyboards.
It took him 12 hours a day for 3 weeks.
I know,
but it's totally
it was totally worth it. Alex, one of the things I love about this is it kind of puts us on very cool ground for 2015. One of the sore spots here at the TWiT Brick House, if you want a little bit of inside baseball thing, is the sand was always kind of the weak spot of our workflow.
Oh, you have no idea how excited I am to take that thing out back and shoot it.
Go Office Space out on it.
The drives were expensive, and it would fill up, and it would just kill. And you know, the problem is also that the files got so big.
They're ridiculous.
Well, and the files are still going to be big.
Yeah, but then every time we ever had to use like MP4 for something format or a different format, we always had to convert for ProRes.
Right. Well, and that was a Final Cut issue. Final Cut traditionally you work with one file type or one video codec format,
right?
And ProRes is the traditional one. So you convert everything to ProRes, and then it all works together. But with Premiere, you can kind of mix and match in your timeline.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. That's what we've got under the hood. That's what we're deploying throughout 2015. The migration process has actually taken a while. I mean, we could have just put all these things in, but you got to remember, TWiT is like a moving engine.
Well, one thing,
moving target.
One thing I can interject that we mentioned before on the show was the new recording system. That is part of this project because the old record system was a Mac Pro running Final Cut with a capture card, and we just hit capture, and that just writes onto the sand just directly, which is great because it means that the file's ready to go when it's done because it's just spewing it onto the sand, but it's bad because there's no real fail-safe, so it's not a proper recorder, and that thing can just kind of die all of a sudden, which happens once a month maybe. That sometimes happens. So part of this project was, because we're getting rid of the sand, we can't do that anymore to record, so we have to get a new recorder, and that was the whole thing with the SSDs. You know, these things right here that we showed off the carts, and putting it into the ingest slot, and that copies it to the new file server. So that was another part of this project, and that piece alone took for at least a month to figure out and build and assemble, and that's actually now in place now, so we're excited about that. And we've started using new edit systems a few weeks ago. We're going editor by editor, so our editor Zach over there has been using the systems for the last few weeks. Brian, I believe you are next, starting in a couple weeks.
Know-how will be edited in Premiere.
I'm actually working on Know-how's Premiere template right now.
Awesome.
And the strange thing is, one of these ended up in the no hole.
That is so weird.
It's so weird.
But
it's so weird because that's not a proper edit station that's been assigned.
You could say it's
especially since you only had what, 3 shows now these days.
Is that it? It feels like more than that.
That's what it is on the list.
You TD a lot, but your editing responsibilities have decreased.
Well, because I had to use those crummy old machines.
Now you're excited to use them.
I know. Now I want to get back to editing.
It's because of the keyboard.
But I think it was the gray area in the chat room said we should have a celebration for the old hardware, and I think
Office Space.
Well, what I'm excited to do is to get all the Mac Pros out and just line them all up and just get a picture of them all lined up. Well, actually, what we're going to do is Anthony is still really wants to use motion for some stuff, and we're going to try to wean him off of that on After Effects. But in the meantime, what we want to do is take the best parts of all the Mac Pros that we have, because they're all a little bit different, and kind of make a Franken Mac Pro of all the combined best parts to make like a super one, and have Anthony use that in the meantime while we wean him off into Final Cut or After Effects.
Until we bring him back into the light.
Yes. Speaking of the light, Padre, why don't you plug that keyboard into your laptop, or Brian?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Do that. Yeah.
Well,
wait.
Can I just plug the keyboard in?
Ooh, look at that.
Oh.
Hey. Oh, man, I can't wait to edit now.
Yeah, it's just going to be so exciting.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Now Alex won't get those emails like, how do I edit that one thing? I just want to cut
And I'll just
stuff.
say, look at your keyboard.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah. Where's the ripple edit tool?
Yeah.
Right there.
So instead, I'm going to have to explain what the ripple tool is.
Oh, that too.
It is. This is what we're going to be using going forward. You wanted to know. Now you know.
That is an actual production unit, by the way.
This is an actual production unit, so this.
And if it happens to disappear, who knows?
Oh well. Oh well. We wanted to open up 2015 with a little something. You know, we do these parting shots. So this time, hey Brian.
What?
You want to look at the world's easiest magnetic train?
Yes.
Let's do that. This is kind of cool. Take a cylindrical battery with the positive terminal on one side and the negative terminal on the other, and then stack a set of permanent magnets with the same diameter as the battery on each terminal. Now you make a coil of copper wire, just a little bit bigger than the battery and the magnets, and then you insert the train into the coil. As this thing travels through the coil, those magnets will make contact with the copper coil, and it will energize them. Just that one section.
It looks so silly.
It looks so silly.
It's awesome.
It's this perpetual motion. So it's providing its own power as it goes through. It creates a magnetic field that will interact with the magnets attached to the battery and driving it forward.
That's amazing.
This is the Hyperloop, right?
This is the Hyperloop. So
I think this is how they came up with the movie.
This is actual aerial footage of the Hyperloop.
we could do like train car races in coils of copper here.
Did you see that movie Snowpiercer? Because I'm pretty sure that's how
this
they
is the
came
technology
up with
behind Snowpiercer. I mean, come on. I wish I had thought of something like that when I was a kid. I would have had so much fun with this. Look at that.
I would have used some sort of system like that to send myself things to my room. Yeah.
Now, okay, people are asking what kind of battery. I believe this one actually is, that's just a AAA battery. So you don't need much power. But what I would do,
zoom in skills.
you can get cylindrical batteries that can provide up to about 12 volts.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that would create a crazy field and just like shoot it through.
Whenever you come up with ideas, it always has to be like destructive or like bigger.
I want to throw so much current through that copper wire that it disintegrates as the car goes through. Right? Right?
And just disintegrates whatever's in front of it.
Railgun.
Exactly.
Folks, that does it for this episode of Know How. Don't forget that even in 2015, you still need to check out the show notes page. Which, Brian, where do they find it?
twit.tv/KH. And if you want to look back through 2014.
It's like a time machine.
It is. It's like looking into a DeLorean.
Yeah. Remember that episode 1, 2, 3?
It feels like it was so long ago. It certainly doesn't feel like it was yesterday.
There we go. Yeah. Also, don't forget that you can find us on our Google Plus group. You got to join in the new year. If you make a resolution, join Know How on Google Plus. It's a great community for builders, for makers, and for people who just want to see cool things like the little magnetic coil train.
Or they want to know about our editing systems that we just got. That's why we brought this on the show, because someone wanted to know.
Because we're all about bringing people together before we blow them apart.
We do that so often.
Yeah. Don't forget that you can also find us on Twitter. If you're not into the big Google Plus vibe, go ahead and drop by Twitter. You can find me at twitter.com/PadreSJ. That's at PadreSJ.
And I am at cranky_hippo.
And if you want to find out more about the editing stations and how much fun Alex has had putting them together, drop by his Twitter at twitter.com/ANELF3. ANELF3.
You will not be disappointed.
So I just want to interject. Someone in the chat room mentioned or asked why you need the video card for editing. The reason it's a GeForce, well, I guess I should say, Premiere supports GPU rendering with, Brian's going up to the camera here, with CUDA cores, which is an NVIDIA something. Oh, thanks, Brian. We'll just...
give the guy a little camera time.
And so...
Keep going.
Man.
Sorry.
So traditionally it's been you need Quadro cards, which are the high-end cards, but they're actually the same thing as GeForces, and the Quadros are way more expensive, so we could actually just buy the GeForce cards, and so we bought the GeForce cards and put them in there, and now we have the GPU running, so your encodes will go faster, right, Brian? You're excited about that because it'll be faster to do stuff.
So the answer is because we're not made out of money.
Because we like you, Brian. We like you when you turn our cameras off.
It means
we're giving you bigger video cards, so you have faster rendering.
This is why you should.
You're welcome, Brian.
8 hours of show in one day.
It's such a long day.
Until next time, I'm Father Robert Balasaire.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And now that you know how,
go do it.
Happy New Year.
Turn off this camera. This camera's done. It's over. There we go.
Bada-bump. Bada-bum, bada-bum, bada-bum. Wait, you have to wait for that.
Yeah. No, wait. What do we wait?
You know it.
Nope.
For the squeeze.
Oh, I know.